Protector Guard and Guard are then going to be what's called fixed indemnity plans. I want to clarify again, the client's going to get their health card with their insurance card that says United Healthcare Choice Plus and has their member number. Whenever you go to an appointment or, going to any clinic, etc., really what they want to know is what's the network on your plan. If you tell them the name of the plan, you're just going to confuse them, even if you have an ACA or an employer plan. Really, they want to know what's the network and what's your ID number so they can look you up. So it's going to be United Healthcare Choice Plus, says it right there on the card. So using the plan is not going to be any different than any normal plan. Just want to reiterate that. However, but what's going to happen is the plan is structured as a fixed indemnity plan. So what that means is it pays a fixed amount per service, right? Now, if they're using it as their primary plan and they're going in network, they just need to present the plan. Depending on what level plan, if they do a higher level, it pays out more. They may get some money back. If it's a lower level plan, they may get a bill for a little bit, depending on which plan and what service it was. But just wanted to reiterate that that's really the difference in these plans is how much the plan is going to pay. So there is no out-of-pocket max, so there could be some financial exposure for the client. But again, that's going to depend on which level plan you have. But as you guys know, the most important thing is to get the client coverage that they can afford. So we basically have options, as you can see here. This is a 40-year-old male as an example, going from $50 up. If the person's younger, it's going to be less expensive. Now, just to close this out, and we can finish up here with the slides, and we'll go into the portal. As you guys know, the bankruptcy is the number one reason in the United States is going to be medical debt, but it also gets reported to the credit bureau. So if somebody wants to get a car or rent an apartment or get an apartment, that can affect them. So any of these plans, they're going to get the benefit that in network, it's going to lower the cost about on average about 50%, because to be in our network, not only does that mean they make the appointment, but it also means that they agree to charge our contracted rates, which is typically going to be about 58% lower, and then you're going to have whatever the plan pays, and if there's any balance, then that would be at the bottom of that. But the point is that even with the lowest plan, you could potentially be looking at a $100,000 problem becoming a $5,000 or $10,000 problem. Whereas if you don't have any insurance, that's still going to be a $100,000 problem. And a lot of competitors, which honestly, if we're looking at non-ACA options, we're going to be by far the number one provider in the United States. But a lot of competitors in our space, they say, well, we use this company's network, which is fine if you want to just make an appointment, but it's not going to be the same thing when it comes to getting the contracted rate and getting those savings, which can seriously come into play if you have something serious like a hospitalization or a serious medical episode. So that is something to keep in mind. So basically, there is no reason for somebody not to have coverage. I'll put in the chat, like I did yesterday, we have some guaranteed issued products where they don't have to, they don't have to pass any underwriting. Now, having said that, you don't have to be Superman to qualify for these products, but there are cases where maybe somebody has a serious illness already and they would be a decline. So we do have some guaranteed issued options. I'll put those in the chat, and I'm obviously going to show you guys on the portal how you can go in and how you can study the plans. But just kind of to reiterate this point here, do not do not let this pass you by. We have to announce to the public, to our contacts on all our different platforms that we have. And these days with technology, it's very easy to do that, to let them know that you can help them, that you have options. You're going to see that organically. That's going to help you. Now, another thing too, before we move on here, the tri-term is good for 3 years. It'll automatically renew as long as the client pays the premium. And the Health Protector Guard and the Guard, they keep going until age 65, as long as the client keeps paying for it and they don't cancel it. What does that mean? It means that the client's going to continue to have coverage and you're going to continue to receive commissions, so you can focus on growing your book of business instead of chasing down the same people to get them to renew, or maybe their income changes, their premium's going to change. You don't have to worry about that with these products. Now, to summarize here, what are the key points that really differentiate us with the employer plans and the ACA plans is obviously you can sign up all year round. There's no season, there's no open enrollment. We have different options for the budget, and you're going to see the enrollment is very seamless, fast, and simple. And I do again want to reiterate that please go ahead and download that PDF guide on their portal there so you guys can keep it handy. You like we mentioned, you don't need a social income verification. Basically just answering the medical questions and an address and bank account or payment method. Doesn't have to be bank account, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. We do recommend that. Now you can have immediate coverage starting as soon as tomorrow or quoting up to 6 months out. Why would you want to quote it further out? Let me just make this point real quick, because if somebody's, let's say somebody says, well, I don't need the coverage for until 2 months later because maybe I have another coverage that I plan on canceling or it's going to end. Well, what happens is since they're underwritten, you want to make sure you get that approval before their health changes, and you want to eliminate that risk, right? So if you sign up and they get approved and everything, even though it's not going to start until a month or two later, whatever date you choose, like I said, up as soon as tomorrow or up to 6 months out, now you don't have to worry about the underwriting process. It gets approved, they're going to get their cards and everything, and then the plan's going to start on the date that they choose. So you can access the coverage basically whenever you want, up to 6 months out. And this is going to be really important because it's going to give clients the option where maybe they declined other plans that were too expensive. So let's go ahead here and jump right to the portal, and then we'll do the Q&A. So I put in the chat. The member hub, the link to the member hub, and also the trainings for the member hub. So you can also look at that. That's very useful because you can do a lot of things on the member hub, such as making a payment. You can change your payment method, change your address, look up a doctor, print your cards, do a claim. So I put those trainings there in the chat.